Okay, this is the first pinball video I have done in ages. And the reason behind it is this is a World Cup soccer that was out kind of on loan for a little over a year, I believe. And we've got it back now and switched it out for a Simpsons pinball party. And it needs some work. The stand-up target here is loose. Looks like we need to put some screws back in there. Might be some missing and everything. It needs a good cleaning. Oh, the GI back here is all out. So that's one of the major things we're going to work on is the GI. If we zoom in here, let's see, let's get a shot. Switch to camera 2. We will switch to camera 2. So you see back in here, under the goal, those lights are out. Back here in the rollovers, those lights are out. Of course, there's not a light bulb in the socket back there, it looks like, so that's good. I wonder if that broke. That might be part of our problem. It may have shorted something out. Don't know, but I think there's a few more that are on that circuit, but we're gonna have to look at that. That's going to be one of the big things, is to try and troubleshoot that, figure out what's going on. It's just the section back there. We'll get that going. And what else is there? I don't know if there's anything else, but yeah, we'll get those things kind of fixed up, cleaned up. This is going to be going to Midwest Gaming Classic, hopefully in April. This will be its, third or fourth trip there over the years. We haven't been there in a couple years, just because I didn't like the venue anymore. It was too crowded for me. Couldn't get around. I'm someone who, I don't mind crowds, but I like to be able to decompress occasionally, and there's just was not easy to decompress and get out of crowds and everything there. So we're going to go there again now that they're in the new venue that's much larger. One thing, if you look close at our plastics on this as well, these are some of the original reproduction plastics from classic playfield reproductions, and they were made of an acrylic, which is just terrible. You can see here that that's cracked. These have cracked around the screw holes here, or the bolt holes there. It's pretty mangled over in here. Yeah, they were notorious and got ridiculed pretty heavily for doing this back in the day. I am actually no longer a fan of Classic Playfield Productions. I refuse to buy any products from them anymore because they have a very spotty history in the quality of their products. I haven't been into the hobby as much as I had been a few years ago, so I don't know if things have gotten a lot better, but I advise people to avoid them like the plague. They offer a service to the community as far as getting stuff that's really hard to find out there, but they're not very forthcoming with defects or issues they have in their products, and they don't do adequate testing on their stuff before they send it out to customers. So I would say, until you hear opinions on something, don't buy it from Classic Playfield Productions. Wait till other people have tried it out, see how it is, then buy it. Don't buy it right as soon as it comes out, because you're more than likely to get burned in the situation. Enough rant on that. So we'll get down to it. Oh, the other thing we're doing is we are replacing all the 6/32 nuts around here, the silver ones, with some black ones. Just, it looks way better. It looks really cool. I'll show you here close up, so you can see there's a black one on there. You compare it to like a silver one over here, and there's a black one right there. That looks awesome. I would highly recommend doing that if you're going to do something for cosmetic sort of thing. We also have on this the pop bumper caps with the LEDs from Pinball Life, though I think he gets them from someone else, but those are pretty awesome too. Since not all the GI is out, you want to look, most likely this is one continuous string of GI lights underneath the playfield that have gone out. So it could be a wire's come loose, something like that on there. So we'll pop it up real quick here. Lock it in place. And we'll try and figure out the color, first of all, of the wires that are going to light up that circuit. So we'll look at the ones down here. And these are all on the rollovers, and they're mounted to a little board, and they're a violet or purple and a white with a dotted purple or violet color. So we know that's a possible color to look for of lights that are out, and see if there's any other. So we got another one over here. We've got the one behind the goal. They go jump up to this one. This is more GI, but this is brown and white. So that's not the same circuit, and those are working. So looking down here, see if we can track where the first wire in this circuit starts, where the first line of wires start coming from the back box. So your bundle of wires coming right here, and see if you can track it when it comes out of the wire loom. And it looks to be this one right here. So that's looks to be actually all the GI, potentially. Maybe not. There's brown in there. I don't know for sure. But anyway, this is our circuit. This little wire bundle right here has got the violet and purple on it, and it's going first of all right over to the rollovers. And then it goes to the next one by the rollovers, and it stops, and then there's another section, or no, I'm sorry, it goes over, yeah, it goes from the first rollover to the second one to the third one, comes out of there, gets strapped back, zip tied back into the wire loom, and then goes over to the goal. And then the lights behind the goal, and then the sides over here for the back loop. So that whole circuit is out. This is a wire coming from it. So what we can do now at this point is we'll go get the volt ohm meter, and we'll test out these leads here and see if there's a continuous circuit through there. So one thing we can do to check to see if there's just a short in the wiring in general, which it probably isn't, is to check the continuity on it with a volt ohm meter. And we could volt on push the probes into this plug coming from the back box, or just grab any plug. As long as you disconnect each one of these little wire plugs from the boards, there should be no continuity then. Once you test it, since you've disconnected this from the circuit, there should be nothing completing a circuit from the purple, solid purple, to the white and purple. If there is, if you get a tone continuity on your volt ohm meter, then you know there's a short in your wiring, and you're going to have to figure out where that's at. I doubt that's going to be the case here, but this is just a step you would do potentially to troubleshoot it. This may not even be the step I would necessarily take in the order, but it's just something I'd like to show you. In one of the things you can do to kind of troubleshoot stuff that doesn't take a whole lot of skill or knowledge to do. One thing I also like to mention, I'm going to do the continuity check. But to be honest, normally I wouldn't even bother this with this stage. I would just figure out what circuit these were on by the color-coded wires. And I would look to see in the schematics for this if that color combination, wire combination, has a fuse, and I'd go check to see if that fuse has blown on the board in the back box. But since I've got the playfield up, I'm going to do it this way right now. So, you know, I may put in the video notes here, jump to here to see about testing or finding the fuse out. But for right now, since we got the playfield up, we're going to do a continuity check on the wiring right here as it is and see what happens. So if you have a volt ohm meter and you're having continuity mode, that's when you get a buzz or a beep when the circuit is complete. So we still have the rest of these all plugged into the boards, so we have to disconnect them. Of course, remember later to plug them back in again. So now These are all taken out of circuit. So if there's a light bulb in a socket, that completes the circuit. So that's not a good way of checking the continuity. So now we could do it here if we find the right pin. Looks like it's the, is that brown or is that black? Kind of looks to be maybe brown. Yeah. So it's going to be the outer one here. And then the middle one next to it. We get nothing, which is exactly how it should be. Now, we could just do that with one of these, which would be far easier. Just come in here, check there. No continuity. Shouldn't be, because the wiring's good. Now, if we plug this one, for example, in this middle rollover right back into the circuit now when we do a continuity check, we should get a beep if the bulb's not burned out. And we're getting nothing. So maybe the bulb is burned out, or is that? Oh, okay, or it could be the simple answer. The bulbs are all burned out. I don't know. Yeah, that bulb is burned out. I didn't get any continuity on it because it's dead as well. Let's take another board out here and check to see. This might be the one that had the busted bulb in it. That might be what happened here. Something fried all the bulbs in the circuit. Let's plug that. That'd be really odd, but I guess potentially feasible. Oh, this board doesn't have any bulbs in it. Well, that would explain the continuity test on that. Love it when I talk about things and I don't know what I'm talking about because things are not what you expect. Holy cow, the screw in this one is long for some reason. There we go. That one does look good. I probably should have done a continuity test on that one. So let's do it real quick. Yeah, there we go. So that's what we should have gotten for beep when I did it before, but we had terrible luck and there was no good bulbs in the first ones we tried. I was beginning to think my multimeter was bad. Alright, so we're plugged back into the one behind the goalie. Continuity, woo! So we know that's all good. So this will be the stage where we kind of plug things and hook things back up again, because we know the circuit in here probably is okay, is probably fine. I will take the boards out real quick, just do a quick inspection of the bulbs, see if any of them are burned out right now and place them, since some of these other ones were either missing or burned out, and then hook them back up again. And for now though, I will leave this disconnected from this when I'm done, because I'm going to do a continuity check from this plug up to the head plug, excuse me, and make sure it's complete all the way through and make sure it's okay. We don't want this again in circuit to do the continuity, because the bulbs will, you know, give us that buzz. So we'll leave that disconnected, and then I'll do a continuity check from here back into the head, just to make sure from there back into the head is okay. Probably is, but it's one of those things you can check as well to make sure, moving the playfield up and down, putting the head, you haven't cut or pinched a wire somewhere along the line, which is not totally uncommon to have happen on these when they're moved about, is to get the wires pinched in when you fold the head back up, if you're not careful. So we'll move on to the next thing and we'll show you that. Alright, so we've got everything opened up now. This is looking like we got our multimeter down here. Okay, so we're going to get out the multimeter and we're going to check a few things here. And first things first is inside the door, usually on a lot of the Williams and Bally's, stapled to the door is a circuit diagram for the lamp matrix, the switch matrix, solenoids, flasher tables, fuse list, and a diagram of where the fuses are on the boards. This is the power driver board right here that we're looking at. This is where the power for the GI comes from. So I'll show you a close-up here of this board or this diagram. So you don't necessarily need the manual as long as you've got this. So in this fuse list here, it shows F106 through F110 is part of the GI. And number 5, it says, is white violet. So that's the circuit we're looking for. And that's F106. And according to the power driver board diagram over here, F106 is located right here. Weirdly enough, though, the board says that's F108. But the other two next to it are correctly labeled according to the diagram. So we'll pop that fuse out and do a quick test on it and see what's happening. Alright, so we have popped out all the fuses on that left bank of fuses just to see, because we're conflicting information according to the diagram up there and what's actually labeled on the board. I'm going to assume that is correct, but you never know. So that one's good. Remember, the best way to test these is out of circuit. You could just lift one side of it out of the thing and test it, but you don't want it in circuit usually. That one's good. Just to be on the safe side, you don't want it in circuit. And that one's good. So, kind of had a feeling this was the case, that these were going to be all good. So, one thing we can check, as we know, if this is the correct one side of these is going to lead to the wire that goes down, the violet, white and violet wire that goes down to the playfield. So, we need to figure out where that is on this board here, though, that plug is. And looking at it here real quick, I don't think, oh yeah, it does have here. Playfield top, left, right, white, violet. So they're saying playfield top is what they're considering this. It's on this chart here. We'll get another close-up here of this so you can see what I'm talking about. Got general illumination, playfield top, and it gives you the wire color, white, violet. And the bulb number too, in case you didn't know that, that you should be using in it. So, that's controlled by this particular driver transistor. I doubt that's the problem. It's probably going to be the plug. And I'll show you why here in a moment. That says that's the wire for that playfield voltage connections. That is J121-6 and J121-11. And on every board there is a number next to each wire plug. So we need, first of all, we'll try to find 21 is the one we need. So 21 down here. Now, it's 11 and 6. And you can see it counts down. There's numbers there labeled as well on the plugs from, like for example, this one's 1 through 9. This one is 11 through 1. We know the white and violet is number 11. And look at number 11. This is most likely our culprit right here. We don't know for sure, but it may be that this is charred. I tell people, if you don't know, if you're not familiar with what you're doing, turn the machine off. We could have tested the voltage here, right here at this, to see if we were getting voltage out here or on the playfield or anything. But you're playing with live voltage. If you don't know what you're doing, it's best to have the machine shut off and do what I'm doing right now to test things and just be safer rather than sorry on this. So we're going to test right here. We'll put a probe in there and we'll put a probe on either side of here to see if those complete a connection down there, and we'll know if that's good. So we'll go in here where that wire goes in, and we'll come up here. Nothing. Nothing. So that may, like I was saying before, this may not even be the right circuit. Nothing, nothing. Nothing on any. Okay, so the diagram was wrong. It's not or the diagram information is wrong. F10. Oh, maybe that was an 8. Never mind. It's that the font is so bad it's hard to see. So it really is down here. So we are getting continuity there. So that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. That would indicate that potentially our transistor on here that controls that circuit, Q, what was it, 12, is bad. And so it's going to be in here somewhere. Q12. There was 19. Maybe it's not in here. And I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's over here. Q. One of the bigger ones. Yeah, one of the bigger ones with the heat sink right there. This could potentially be the problem. I don't know for sure, but that could be the problem. We're going to double check some stuff here on the board. Let's see. Okay, I'm not going to go through the whole thing or anything on camera, but I have been doing this for a few years, and though I haven't been doing much with pinball in the last probably 4 or 5 years, been out of it doing other stuff, but I have a good supply of these type of connectors on hand, and the little crimped connectors you need for the wires to replace these. Now they're different. The other ones, they come in and they get kind of held in place, crimped into place by the connectors that are already inside the thing. They're not very good. So we've got new ones. Then once you you crimp with a special crimper, the connection on the end of the wire, you then slide it in and it clicks in place, and that's your connection then. And so there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like 6 wires on this one. So this won't take too much to do. I've redone quite a few of these in the past. An old Bally Harlem Globetrotters needed a new driver board because the other one was fried, and people had soldered the wires directly to the board. And then, the connectors from other boards needed, or the wires from other boards needed connectors to go into the new aftermarket driver board we got. So I spent a good portion of a day crimping new connections on everything to this new board. So this is not something where you generally want to probably try and do it without one of these special crimpers. You can do it, but it's much, much easier with the special tool. And it's not cheap though either. I think I got this from years ago. There's a vendor who specializes in pinball stuff. I think Great Plains Electronics, I think is his name, of his company, small company, I think Colorado maybe. But yeah, he's got a good supplier. He used to of this. This is Sargent Tools, it says, crimper. But he has all this sort of stuff. Bought a bunch of this years ago. I have like every about single size of these you can imagine, for different pins, and just have them on hand. You never know. And in this case, these are notorious. These Williams Bally's are notorious for the GI burning up like that socket is right now, or that connector is right now. So it's good to have something like this on hand. And if you're buying one of these machines, check that right away. Alright. As you can see, we got the new connector in, and as I suspected, that did not fix the problem. We already kind of knew that because we did a continuity test from up here down to there, and we knew power was getting transferred from there to there. So, oh wait, we forgot to put in the fuses. Oh my god. Yeah, so as I suspected, it was not the board, but it was the connector. With the fuses back in, the GI lights are now functioning. So, let me flip this up real quick. Actually, let me plug this back in real quick. I've got a modded speakers and modded volume control, separate volume control for these speakers that I made up myself. So, plug this back in here, and there's a little volume knob up above here. This side I really should shorten these wires, but since it's just in my house, well, except when it was on location for a while, or out on loan, not really location, out on loan for a while, I don't have to worry about it. Alright, so let's fire this bad boy up. We'll leave that all in there, of course, because that's a good example of how you never know what you might miss. So, look at there! Back there in the goal area, the GI lights are on. Isn't that awesome? Yay! So we got all the lights working. I won't take the camera out and show these rest, but they are all functioning properly now at this time. Super happy. I did put some, while I was at it, some green LEDs back in here in the GI, and I'm kind of regretting it now. They look kind of ugly. I'll probably put some different colored bulbs back in there, but it was just one of those things. And while we were at it, we fixed this drop target, or this stand-up target that was not working correctly, or not, was loose. Not that it wasn't working correctly. It was just loose, so it was just, the screws had backed off a little bit. We tightened it back up. It's good to go. Next is the cleaning on it. So yeah, I'm going to stop with this. This was just mainly about trying to troubleshoot the lights in the back and everything. And for the most part then, it should be ready to go for Midwest Gaming Classic in April. Yay! Next machine is Whirlwind. And if I'm lucky, Whirlwind, it has to go back together. I had a board I sent off for repair because I didn't want to do the work on it because I haven't been doing pinball stuff too much. I got the board back 2 years ago. I haven't put it back in. It's going to go in the machine, and we should be good to go. I'll pan over real quick over to Whirlwind. You can see the despair that it is in. So there's one of the boards. I just have to put that back in. That wasn't the problem. The other board's actually in a box somewhere. You got to put it in, but you can see it's all gutted inside there. So we got to put that back together. I'm going to try and get that ready for MGC. That's never been to MGC. We have a Star Trek over here that's been here, but last time it was there, it kept blowing fuses on a bunch of the solenoids, which is probably a good sign that there's a solenoid that's got a short in it, maybe. I'm hoping. But I got to track down which one that is, and that's the tedious part. So, but for now, yay, we got the GI working in this. That's super awesome. One other thing we got to do with this is also put in like bolts, holders, or plates, new ones, because they're kind of stripped out.